Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am your host, the Lore Dude, whose music program is once again not working, so we're having something else on here. Good morning, Juanta, Ice Tray, Hazardous, and no one else, because no one else is here. You'll have to give me some, a little bit of patience here. I haven't even had breakfast, and in fact, don't plan to until later. I haven't had time. Good morning, Darth Tyrant, Will King, Arathrobo, Raskor, Shikor, Platy, Sildeer. It is good to see you, Sildeer. You know, you get lots of praise for your Steiner voice. I just want you to know that, because it's true. Like, that just came up unprompted last week, and I thought you should know that. Good morning, Techno's World, Bad Diesel, Max Time, Queen Sheetza, Gediltenberg. What's up? Sildeer, where do you want that to go, as far as increasing priority? You can tell I just woke up, because my voice is always just a little bit gravelier when I've just woken up. It's just a little... You should hear me when I have just woken up. Like, if I woke up 2 seconds ago, I would be talking kind of like this. I can't even emulate it. Did it not... Oh, god dang it. Twitch has been weird lately about that. Thank you for pointing out that it didn't work, Darth Tyrant. So, don't have a lot of news to talk about this week. Hello, Ciela. And Dream Whisperer. What's up? I do want to talk about a couple of show stuff really quick. First of all, obviously, for those of you who haven't actually been paying attention, the betting pool still exists. So, for anybody curious or wanting to participate in that, that's still up. It's going to be up probably for a few months because it's not actually going to close until it's done. Yeah, obviously, right? Here's a fresh link in case anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about. That is the betting pool right now. It's currently organized by date. Anybody who knew who adds to it, you're welcome to add it at the bottom. We'll go ahead and readjust it. For those of you not aware, the whole point of this is you're betting when it is that we're going to finish the current list of games in the queue. So all games that are currently funded and all games that are in the vault. Or rather, basically until the vault is gone is the point. Until the vault has been removed from existence. Because we've gotten through that many games. So, how long do you think that's going to take? Voot now. Do note it's almost guaranteed that we're going to take at least a month off in order to go record Ruminations at one point. Speaking of which, I've been postulating? Debating that. And as I've been debating that, I do want to mention something. So, this will be something I'll talk about during the actual next upcoming Floodgate cycle, but just to give you guys a little bit of heads up, I will not be allowing game rumination requests during the Floodgate cycle. We are obviously still doing game ruminations because we're baking those into the games we stream. But when the rumination, the actual Floodgates, setting aside time just doing ruminations, video games are no longer allowed for that. The end. Now, I am willing to listen to reason as I usually am, because it's not like I have many concepts that are hard and set rules. You can still request movies for the Floodgates, and you can request 25. You're going to get 25 slots for that. Everything else is going to be ruminations we do as far as the streaming goes, and the rest of my time that month will be spent working on TOS and Enterprise. That should be fun. What's funny is I did that deliberately. I'll talk about this during the intro videos, which I've actually already recorded. But the idea is that I want to see modern Trek, or at least what used to be modern Trek until Discovery came out, directly contrasted with classic Trek, the original Trek. TOS and Enterprise side by side is going to be a fascinating journey to go through, so we'll see how that one turns out. So there's no popping. What you're hearing is this. Here, I'll mute myself so you can really hear it. It's actually snow, Chikor. It's one of my relaxing things I've got. But if it sounds like popping, I'll go and get rid of it. We'll just have total silence. I can have a blizzard. You guys just want to hear a blizzard? Anyways. So. I don't know what that is, hazardous. I have a rain thing, but I can't play it because of the same reason I can't play anything else locally. Anywho, so that's what's going on with the floodgate cycle. I do want to talk about a couple other things. So first of all, some of you may have noticed the schedule tends to bounce around a little bit. All I can do is apologize to that because there's not really a lot I can actually do about that. The schedule is by its very nature malleable. Oh, hey, did it just load? I think it just loaded. Nope, it's still bugging out. Still don't know what you're talking about, Hazard. But the schedule has to be malleable because, games, I have a rough idea of when exactly games are going to be played, once they're on the list. But that can get shuffled around if a game we finish earlier or a game we finish later, or maybe we get to the point where we're we have to hurry up because it's a Tuesday and there's something happening on a Wednesday. Or, and this is another big one that comes up occasionally, and this has happened 3 or 4 times now, one of the major, what I think of mentally as the majority shareholders, aka the people who donated the most money towards a run, specifically request that a run happens at a specific time to coincide with their schedule. We actually already did that with Suikoden 2. We will be doing that again later this year. June 29th will be the Tor Sith Warrior run, regardless of all other features. That's when that's happening. So the schedule will probably get shuffled around again to make sure that that happens. I just wanted to explain that outright in case anybody's never really picked up on that. So that's why if you check the website, it kind of shuffles around a little bit every now and again because, duh, right? It's not a hard and set schedule. That's one of the reasons I don't use Twitch's thing, because Twitch's thing requires a hard schedule. You have to stream this exact game on this exact day, and that's not something I do. Go ahead, Hazardous. So, speaking of which, I have talked to the majority shareholders of the Cold Steel 2 run. You should be able to just re-edit it, Hazardous. Like it's an editable spreadsheet. You should be able to go in and change it. If it's locked in, here, hang on. There. Now your guess has been changed. So, Cold Steel 2, the majority shareholders of the Cold Steel 2 run have all agreed to go ahead and put that game off until we have a chance to play Cold Steel 1. Cold Steel 1, if you're paying attention, isn't even on the list. And the list is closed. So what that means is the possibility of playing Cold Steel 2, even though it's a funded run, has just been pushed back at least a year until we've gotten the list shrunk down and we're adding new games to the site. But that's what they requested. That's what they wanted. Yeah, it says it's June 9th. That's a little optimistic, Hazardous, but sure. Anyways. So yeah, that's what we're doing with Cold Steel 2 run. So that's been pushed back. We're cool. We're done. Moving on. Oh wait, that's next year, isn't it? Not this year. Never mind. June 9th of next year. Okay, we're cool. God, this silence is really bothering me. Hang on. I've got an idea. I have an evil plan here. We're just gonna pull up Mega Man music. There we go. Okay. Oh, I feel better. I actually legitimately feel weird when I don't listen to music. Like, I've talked about that before. Silence, especially awkward silence, just bothers me. Moving on. Schedule. I want to talk about PC games really quickly here. PC games, generally speaking, are the preferred streaming format for me, if I can afford it. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is... So obviously, I do not support the Epic Gaming Store, and I've given my reasons for that, and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to cover that. What I really wanted to cover is something that has come up a few times, and I just thought I'd talk about it here in brief. So generally speaking, I actually have a whole thing I go through about once a week. So I have a list of all games that are on the list. Obviously, I guess that doesn't make sense to say that way. I have a list keeping track of which games on the list that I own and where. There we go. That's a better way to put that. And obviously, some of those are console games, which I just buy through other means. Just grab them on Amazon is pretty much my preferred point. But for PC games, what I generally tend to do is I check GOG first to see if they're even on GOG, because quite a few PC games aren't on GOG at all. That's Good Old Games. If you're not familiar with it, that's always going to be my preferred avenue, though. If I can get it on GOG, that's always my preference. If they're not available on GOG, which is extremely common, then I check Steam. Now, unless it's a game that is a very high-funded run before it comes out, like Cyberpunk, for example, and unless it's a game that I really want to support, like Starmancer, for example, generally speaking, I will leave those on wish lists. And like I said, about once a week, I go around and I check the wish list, and because I compare, because a lot of games are on both GOG and Steam, and I see which games are on sale where. By virtue of the fact that this is my job, I actually have the availability of buying games on sale for the most part because, except for the two exceptions I mentioned earlier, I don't really need to be playing a game the moment it comes out, so I can afford to wait, so I can afford to see if there's a sale. And if there's not a sale, whatever, I can just buy it. Worst case scenario, I can just plunk the money down. But that's actually it. Like I said, not a big thing. I just wanted to explain that because it's been asked several times. It is actually kind of a hassle to go down the list and be like, okay, this game's available here, this game's available there, this game's not out yet, this game's coming out next week, this game's coming out next month, this game's coming out next year, blah, 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 blah. And I just kind of go down the list and compare. I actually just did that last night, which is part of why this is fresh in my mind. And picked up a few new things. Speaking of which, GOG is having a sale right now, for anybody curious. So, woo. Hello there, Ian. I will say one thing against GOG. I absolutely hate their front end. It's like, okay, store highlights, all offers, search. And it does that live search thing where it searches for every key you put in as you put in it. So it's just kind of a clunky, stuttering kind of a search engine. And there's no notifications whatsoever. Like Steam, I'll actually get emails if something on Steam goes on sale. On GOG, I just have to check manually. I'd be like, is it on sale? No, okay. Is it on sale? No, okay. Steam will probably have... Wow. Hang on just a second. There we go. We're back. Steam will probably have a sale. Not me, Larian. I think it's like in 2 weeks, something like that. The Steam summer sale is coming up soon is what I'm trying to say. And so I'll be doing another check during that and see what's on there. So, have I enabled it? Let's see here. Let's check the settings. All right. Integrate. No. Do not integrate anything whatsoever. God, no. Ugh. No. Ugh. No. Let's see. No, don't show that. Don't care. I have no friends on GOG. I don't actually see an option for that. That's funny. I could look later. It doesn't matter. As I've said before, I am not overly fond of their front end, basically. So yeah, what I tend to do is I just pull up the GOG. I pull up GOG, pull up store highlights, switch to wish list, and I can just check right there. For example, right now, I can see which games are on sale and what. Which games aren't even out yet. That's another one. There's two on my GOG list right now that aren't yet out yet. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 and Cyber Shadow, which we don't even have release dates for those right now. But anyways, moving on. Where's my freaking notes? They got destroyed with everything else. No, that's also the wrong button. God dang it. I'm hitting all kinds of wrong buttons today. All right. So that's all I got for show news. I don't actually have... Let's see here. I don't have an answer to that. Plutonia. Lack of desire to wait? I don't know. Well, it started out Good Old Games because they mostly sold older games, and then they started selling newer games. But they can't exactly rebrand at that point. I mean, that'd be like going from Arching Guy to Lore Runner. Anyways. Minecraft Dungeons came out last week, and apparently is really bland. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but every person I've seen talking about it has been like, yeah, it's there. It's a thing. It's a game. It's a functional game. Now, what I find funny is they've already announced their first DLC, which is coming out in July. Suppose I'll go ahead and put this out here and link. Boop. There you go. Maybe it'll make the game actually good. I don't know. Sonic the Hedgehog is getting a sequel. The movie, to be more clear. I'm not sure what I think of that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and spoil Sonic the Hedgehog very minorly. Very minor spoiler, okay? But in the off chance you want a full no mention of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, just go ahead and mute me. Give you a few more seconds to mute me here. Okay, so Sonic the Hedgehog ended in a way that very clearly led into a sequel. Like 3 separate ways. It left several threads dangling, is what I'm trying to say here. Again, 3 separate threads. And so it's not really surprising that there's going to be a thing. Yeah, we're already done. We're already done next time. It's not actually all that surprising that there's going to be a sequel. Except it actually kind of is surprising. Because, see, here's the thing. It actually did pretty well. I actually enjoyed the movie for what it was. I mentioned that during our discussion stream. So, make of that what you will. It wasn't exactly fantastic, but it was substantially better than I thought it was. But it didn't sell super well, but it apparently sold well enough in order to qualify for a green light, so that's neat. The thing is, the real reason why this is surprising is because the movie industry in general is sort of hacking up a lung right now. I've talked about this before, actually. In fact, I think this has come up in several Loreweeks in a row as the pandemic continues to move forward and it continues to affect elements of geek culture. The movie industry, Hollywood, I should be more clear, Hollywood is just kind of right now. You can quote me on that. I also... They're also at the point where they've officially started releasing videos, that is to say movies, in video format, like what we used to refer to as direct-to-DVD, except kind of not. Because a direct-to-DVD was a different concept. What they're doing now is they're just releasing full motion videos, films, I keep screwing up, full motion films, just digitally, just at release day. Now, we've had the tech to do this for forever. I've talked about this before, so this isn't actually new. In terms of availability, what this is new in terms of actually making this a policy. And it's been making money. Like, they've been doing pretty well in terms of digital sales with regards to just releasing it immediately. So, yeah, movie theaters, like I said, we've talked about this. Movie theaters are probably going to start moving into a niche territory. I can never remember which it is. Niche territory. And they're going to start going fully digital, and I'm kind of wondering if that's what they're going to do with the Sonic movie. There's also the problem that a lot of Hollywood right now is having trouble just straight up making films. As in literally actually going out and physically filming the films themselves. No, it's not Nietzsche. That's much worse, Shikor. Thank you very much, Zachariah Jebediah. Very much appreciate the sub, as always. Thank you. If you know where you want to put that one, like Saldir put his towards Divinity Original Sin 2, let me know. Either way, because Hollywood is kind of going... because of the fact that it didn't sell super well, because of the fact that Hollywood in general is having trouble filming... So, yes, that's 2 Hollywood problems right now, but 2 separate Hollywood problems. One's financial and the other's just, practical. I'm a little surprised it's getting a sequel. That being said, I'm kind of happy. I am legitimately happy about that. Like I said, I did like the first film, and I would like to see more of it. In fact, if the second film's even better than the first, which, that's not an uncommon thing, that'd be awesome. Especially if we start to see more explanation of what the heck's going on with the world building. Because they did have some weird smatterings of world building, which were pretty good, but they're also pretty small. It was just kind of, and then it's gone, throughout the whole film. Well, that's not even fair. It was like mostly the intro and the outro for that. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Yeah, that we'll see. Hazardous. Hello, Sean. Next thing to talk about, no more cam rips. Actually, that's something some people have said. Although cam rips have never I'm just going to say this. There is no demonstrable evidence that cam rips have ever actually eaten into sales in a substantial manner. So the people who are freaking out about that is to say the Hollywood executives who are freaking out about that, can suck a lemon. Now, here's so speaking of random news, Minecraft came out last month. Or last week, excuse me. Crucible also came out last week. Now, before I keep going, how many of you have any idea what I'm talking about? I'm just idly curious, really. I'm not even trying to troll. I'm just legitimately curious how many of you are like, who? What? What's that? Hello, Winterfiend. Yeah, so Amazon has been making a video game for a while. Now, I thought about turning this into a whole topic, because one of the things I would do if I was a billionaire is I would make video games. I'd also make TV. I'd make shows, and I'd make video games. Probably books. That's about it.
Your dedication will be rewarded.
I'd make a full animated series about the Lich King, learning the power of the dance. Spoilers, the final scene in the final episode is him killing all the other dancers and resurrecting them, and then doing a take on Thriller. Okay, Cord. Well, thank you, first of all, for your support. Very much appreciate. So I need to... I'll talk about that in a minute, actually. So Cord just donated for the Lego ISD. I suppose I could talk about that because that's relevant. That's the credits for TFT. Yes, he's going to pull on... Oh my god. Thank you very much, Uchiha Daisuke. And I know I'm always screwing up your name, and I'm trying. I swear to God. Thank you very, very much for your support. I will put that towards Dragon Quest. Okay. So, what the hell was I talking about? This is the kind of thing I would do. If I had ridiculous levels of money, because it takes ridiculous level of money. Because I actually have a brain and I've studied economics, and I know that you don't just kind of sashay into game development or show development. I could, of course, do really super low budget indie stuff, but that involves a substantially larger amount of time. And as you might be aware by the fact that I didn't even have time to eat breakfast this morning, that's not something I have a lot of. So that's completely off the table. Like, I basically have to quit working in order to work on stuff like that. So I've just kind of pushed it away for the time being. Anyways, point being, yes, awesome. Let's make games. Cool. So naturally, the first game Amazon decides to make is Battleborn 2.0. Quick question: how many of you even remember Battleborn? I'm just curious. I do. Obviously, I made the reference, but. Yeah, Battleborn was a game that Overwatch, it was arguably better than Overwatch in terms of quality, but that Overwatch ate alive. Yeah. It was so the new game, it's kind of in the same format of Fortnite and with a mix of Overwatch kind of baked in there. And it's not really all that great. Crucible is not all that great, and it hasn't sold well. And I'm looking at Amazon like, why is this your first game? How much money did you sink into this garbage? Why would you ever do this? This is so stupid on so many levels. It's already technically a failure. We'll see how it goes going forwards, but it's basically bombed at release. A delivery simulator. I mean, because the committee said these things sell well. I mean, that's so stupid. I'm sorry. It just boggles my mind that people can have that little of an understanding of how money works. of how an economic system works or an industry works. It'd be like me saying, you know, McDonald's makes a lot of money, so I'm going to I'm going to dump millions of dollars into a worldwide burger chain. It doesn't work that way. That's so stupid. If you want to try and compete with any of the big boys, you need a strategy. And that strategy can't be, I'm going to do what they're doing. Now, so how's this like, well, Burger King did it. That's because Burger King had a strategy. Do you remember how Burger King cut into the market? Because I do. I was actually alive when it was happening. So, do any of you remember this? McDonald's big thing was the repeatable dependability. Every single burger, every single meal you got was the exact same way. Every single one of them. Burger King carved its way into the market by do it your way. By allowing you to customize your burger. Now that's normal nowadays. But Burger King was the one who pushed that. We can allow you to change it. You want pickles, you want ketchup, you want mayonnaise, you want extra lettuce, you want no tomatoes, no problem. We'll customize your burgers to whatever you want. That's how they carved in. They had a strategy. They actually had an approach and they took it. And that's how they got their foothold in. So yeah, hazardous. Burger King did do it by doing basically the exact opposite of what Amazon is doing. So thank you for making my point for me. That is an excellent analogy. Yeah, Burger King started that. Can you believe that? I mean, this was back in the 80s at this point. But, so imagine if Burger King had come out with, to continue the analogy to what Amazon's been doing here. Imagine if Burger King was like, hey, we've got burgers, and they're always the exact same reliable, dependable burgers that will never vary. And you can get it at any store. You'll always get a Big Mac, and it'll always be a Big Mac. I would have gone nowhere. They probably would have flopped before they even got off the ground. I mean, they might have had a few locations here and there because, that's a thing. But they would have expanded to become Burger King at that point. Anyways, moving on. The Black Bud burgers. Oh, I remember those. Anyways, so yeah, Amazon apparently doesn't have a brain when it comes to what they're doing with this one. And it just, forgive me for being so bothered by this. As I mentioned earlier, I would love to design and be in charge of a gaming studio. I'm just going to say it as bluntly. I would love to be the head of a gaming studio and to working with people. I've been mentally keeping a list and physically keeping a list of people I'd love to reach out to if I ever get to that point. And be like, hey, I'd like you to work on this and you to work on this kind of a thing, including you, Huthor, and Kay, and a bunch of other people I can mention. I'm not going to mention right now. So the fact that Amazon is just pissing money into the river, it's just waste always bothers me. You know what I mean? Moving on. Rant off. Moving on. I don't actually have that much else news. I have news of news. What is it, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday, we're going to have PlayStation 5 news, so that'll be neat. And we're going to have Baldur's Gate 3 stuff Saturday. And we're going to have the PC Gaming Show also Saturday. So we'll see. I anticipate we'll have a lot to talk about next week because, PlayStation 5, Baldur's Gate 3, and the PC Gaming Show are not exactly small things. So, unfortunately, right now, all I can tell you is the fact that those games exist, or those news bits exist, excuse me. But yes, it's June starting tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow is, I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Let me double check my calendar before I say that. Am I streaming this? No, I'm too busy. But tomorrow... tomorrow is the Digital Devolver concert. Let me actually double check that. Let me just do that real quick. Digital. Give me just a second. Come on, give me a date. Oh, they didn't give me a date. I have no idea when the digital devolver thing is happening. Probably it could be happening during the PC gaming show. It could be happening sometime this month. I have no idea. Akai Vurovalem. The last thing I want to mention here, this is show related. I should have mentioned this at the beginning. God, I just can't believe my iTunes is still not loaded. This is actually getting silly. The last thing I wanted to mention is the Lego Star Destroyer. Okay. Now, I've actually gotten a few questions about this, so I want to just kind of lay this out exactly what's going on with that. And I want to confess something horrible to you guys. It's incredibly horrible. So if you look at the website right now, you'll notice there's a separate thing. It's separate from the rest of the list for the Lego ISD, which $371 has been donated. It's $378 now, or 72. Excuse me, $372 has been donated towards. It's this big old awesome Lego ISD. It's $700, I think. I don't actually remember. I guess I can check. Give me a moment. Pretty expensive. It is $700. It's a large expense. But several people have been donating for that. And obviously the intent is not just to have it, but to make it on camera. I've already figured out exactly how I'm going to do that, practically. So I'm going to have, it's going to be a little bit of a weird setup, and I'm going to move that desk over here. Chair will be moved out of the room entirely, and I'll basically be building it right where I'm sitting right now, and we'll just kind of make it, and I'll have the camera on, I'll have the mic on, and we'll make the thing while we chat. So it's going to be a stream whenever that happens. Yeah, it's probably going to be a lengthy endeavor. I'm thinking I'm probably going to push it to a Sunday just to kind of make that happen. I'm going to kill Plutonia for spreading lies. Actually, I probably won't be wearing the jacket at all, to be completely honest. Well, I set up a top-down camera. I don't really have the ability to do so no is the answer to that. However, what I will be doing is so I said I'd confess something, okay? So I want you to, for those of you who care, I want you to do me a favor and look up the Lego ISD. You can actually find it on Lego's website. And you'll go there and it'll say, hey, do you want to start playing, or go to lego.com? And then you have to accept cookies, and it's this Lego does not have a good website, is what I'm trying to say. Anywho, but if you pull it up, there it is. It talks about it's 4,784 pieces. It's several feet long. I think it's about a meter long. I'm not 100% sure on that. A whole bunch of stuff, right? A whole bunch of stuff. Cool stuff. You'll notice it's sold out. They're already out of stock. I want to tell you a little bit of a story. So, once upon a time, the old Lego ISD, there's actually one before this, which is substantially smaller and less complex, came out. There was also a Lego SSD, Superstar Destroyer. Now, I really, really wanted both of those, but those both came out at a point in my life where I didn't have money to burn. I couldn't justify it in any way. They then went out of stock, and obviously that's just the end of that. Because this is what Lego does. For large scale licensed runs like these, they do limited supply runs. So they're basically dry. At this point, I'd either be buying one internationally, like from Huthor's UK store, or getting one that's been marked up from a scalper, or I could have bought one a few months ago. See, I have a brain, and I saw this coming, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and buy that. So I did. It's in my closet right now. It's actually still in the box, as in it's in the packaging box. I haven't even pulled it out of the packaging yet. But I bought this specifically because I saw this exact scenario coming, and I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with that again. So I just wanted to go ahead and confess that to you guys, because it was kind of, I'll be completely honest, it was kind of hard to do, because I had to take faith that you guys would actually fund that, because I really can't justify that for myself. I can't just blow $700 on myself. It's ridiculous. But in faith and in belief that this exact scenario would happen, I went ahead and went for it. So, FYI. Now, another thing, though, I'm not saying you should rush, by the way. in no way am I in a hurry. In fact, I'd actually rather you wait a few months until we get the queue a little bit smaller for finishing funding that. I'm cool with letting it sit in the closet. It's nice and sealed, and everything's cool there. That's true. I could flip it if you guys decide not to. Like I said, it's still in the packaging material. I could just relabel it and ship it out if I needed to. But I would rather you guys wait until we have the queue a little bit smaller, because I'd kind of rather spend most of my streaming time trying to get through the queue right now, if that's okay. I wouldn't scalp it. I'd probably sell it at cost. I don't like scalping. So anyways, just wanted to admit that. Moving on. That's actually all I got this week. Like I said, there hasn't really been any news this week. I thought about talking about riots as a concept, because it's actually an interesting thing to talk about. I know Lore Reloaded recently covered the Bell riots in Star Trek Deep Space Nine as a direct response to this. Yeah, no kidding, Shadow Machine. It's more than I was expecting, that's for certain. Anywho, what I am going to do, because I have something else I really want to work on today, is I'm just going to go ahead and move on, chop off the local recording.